Alright, welcome everybody. Jared Napolitano here, JNap. I'm going to stream some GEMPC 5 action here between Tom and jokerking. They're just getting started. It's Imperial Entanglements. Chris, jokerking, Darkside, and Tom is playing as he is the chosen one, HITCO. So I have a bit of a new setup here, so I wouldn't be surprised if I have a little bit of tech difficulties, but hopefully it's going okay. So just let me know. I'll type that in the chat too, just to be sure. But yeah, nothing too crazy has happened yet. This is the end of Tom's turn 1. He got out Yoda's hut. Chris put out a couple sites on his turn and drew a bunch. So both players have 12, 13 cards in hand. Is my audio visual okay? Hey Wayne, and yeah, and obviously we're on the new Unity user interface here that just made a public release 2 days ago. Today's Wednesday. It was Monday. So let's use it. We're going to try out some of the different backgrounds. We have a Tarkin's Bounty put out. Let me, kind of got this all set up, kind of spur of the moment, so might be a little bit of setup here in the beginning, but I'll do my best to follow the action. So jokerking clearly wants something in his force pile. Let me add my little camera here so people can see me. Video capture. I'm going to be really big. Let's see. Yeah, way too big. Let's shrink me down. Alright, so I'll put me down in the corner here. Alright. So, jokerking's going to look for a site. Let me make sure my... We just hit 237,000 games on GEMP a couple days ago. It's really incredible. It's every 4 or 5 days we're hitting another 1,000 games. And jokerking puts out Watto's Junkyard. And in a moment I'll just get in here and talk about these guys a little bit because I've played against them a lot. So again, this is GEMPC 5. This is a second round match. jokerking was underseeded, if I recall. I think he was underseeded last year too. He was like 40 or 44. He's a really good player, and he knows his decks very well. And it is no surprise to most people that he plays a ton of Court of the Vile Gangster. But interestingly, he told me doesn't play it that often in match play, and which is interesting because he's obviously really good with it, he's really comfortable with it, but he just doesn't like the deck for match play purposes. And actually, I played against him last year. It was in the Elite 8, and I beat him. I played him in the first game. I was Stunning Move, actually, and he was Diplo, which is another deck you don't see him play light side, I think, that much anyway, as he grabs Anakin Skywalker. And I won the first game. I think it was like 18 or so. And the second game, I just played a very, very teched out throne room, anticipating entanglements or court, one or the other. And I basically just got in a position to just keep draining for 2 or 3. I had like 2 Nessor combos for his ATSDs, and I think I had 3 or 4 senses just for the tricks that court has. So I was able to move past him. Tom, I've played Tom a lot. Tom kicks my butt all the time, although I haven't played him as much recently. But in doing a little analysis of my history recently on GEMP, and I think I said this on one of the other streams I've done recently, I'm 2-30 against Tom lifetime. And I'm 1-18 against him in competitive games, so any type of elite game. And that's probably it, because I don't think I've never played him in like any type of organized major. Excuse me. But just in like random open league games that Batmouse sets up, I don't do well. So he's a very, very good player, and a lot of people know that. I don't know if anyone's ever seen him at a live event. He's a pretty strictly online only guy, but he's a really, really good player. So, and actually, I think Joker King is maybe the second or third most common opponent of mine. I think I've played him, yes, close to 70 times, and he does pretty well against me. We have a lot of profit court matchups, and I think sometimes those get drawn out and are really close, and sometimes those are just like total blowouts. I think he's won about 60% of games against me. So we have now Devastator's got a few guys on. It's got Tarkin, it's got Piet, it's got Ozzel. He's playing it pretty conservatively. I shouldn't say that. Sometimes Entanglements flips pretty quickly, and some people play Entanglements very aggressively. My guy Timo, he plays it very fast, which could be really frustrating for a lot of decks. I know Myers plays IE a lot, and he is much more methodical, gets set up, and then kind of makes it impenetrable. And one of my critiques about IE is like if Lightside doesn't react to it, or it doesn't have a lot of anti-IE stuff like free ride combo to cancel occupation, or an escape pod combo to buy some time, it can lose pretty quickly. So the key is obviously in the way Throne Room and HITCO probably approach it are you're not going to win the system. You just have to try to keep them on on the zero side so you don't lose to occupation. And so that's the plan. I'm sure that Tom's going to do here of just try to get on two sites and make sure that light side can't, or the dark side can't flip. It's HITCO versus Entanglements, Dan. Tom is light side. Sorry, I got the camera up, I got my scroll going, I just want to make sure everything's okay, because I did fire this up kind of quickly. I did a test the other day, because I got a new laptop recently. I had to play with the settings, and because it's a Mac, I had a lot of issues on my old Mac getting streaming nice and smooth, so I was kind of building that back up. So interestingly, Tom has Rose and Ray hanging out at the Ewok village. He'll start getting the Rose retrieval going. This is game one. They may or may not play game two. If they play game two, I'm probably not going to call it because it's going to be too late for me. But hopefully everyone watched Hollow Theory tonight. It was a really good episode. Dan had Scott and Taco Bill on, and they talked about the tournament season and a lot of other cool stuff like GEMPC 5, which is this. OCS talked about a little bit. We are at a really cool time right now in the tournament season. OCS, GEMPC, and Jawas in Love, of course, are all going on. So everyone make sure you're registered, signed up for as much as possible, play a bunch of games, get cool stuff, and get better. If you're a novice player, more games the better. The more comfortable you get, especially with Gemp. Let me switch up the table. This isn't my favorite one. My favorite one, there's a bunch of Star Destroyer ones. So we had the Crash on Malachor, although someone just reported this. Oh, I like this one a lot. Oh, never mind. My favorite one is the one with the Executor, as people call it. Yeah, this guy. So you have the Super Star Destroyer here. That's what I've been playing on a lot. So this is something that'll happen with IE too. I feel like they shield bust pretty quickly, and actually HITCO kind of causes it too because there's just so many shields that you want. Chris is known to play grabbers, extra grabbers in his court. He said he's played like 3 There Will Be Hell to Pay. I can't talk. 3 There Will Be Hell to Pay against me before. He just kind of grabs everything. He definitely isn't someone who does not like to get burned on recurring interrupts. So we have this deploy phase turn. Tom has like 3 Amigos over there set up, or Amigas. BBA pinging, Rose retrieving, Ray cycling cards. I don't know if I've ever actually seen Tom play HITCO. He plays like very good cards a lot, and he's very good with it. And I don't know if I've ever seen anyone who is as patient and disciplined as he is, because he'll just like sit back. He might eat some drain sometimes. He really lets you force the action and then reacts to it. He's really, really good at it. And that's when, like I said, I'm 2-30 against Tom Lifetime. I've had a lot of experiences where I'm like, oh, well, he burned me there, or oh, I did that. I probably shouldn't have done that. And I played him. I think the last time I played him, I was doing ASM. I was feeling pretty good. He was playing a throne room farm, and he think it was pretty close. But he plays stuff like Sorry About the Mess and Neighborin and 3PO to cycle cards. He just plays like good cards to make sure he gets the cards he needs. So yeah, so Chris is only activating 12. I guess he could flip here. Maybe not with Blizzard 2 though, because if you think maybe he just plops down like 3 ATSDs or something and a couple Imperial numpties for some good forfeit. But he gets Veers and Blizzard 2, and this is a pretty sweet combo usually, but this card really hurts it. It's brand new. Let's see, Anakin Skywalker V, because Luke can cancel the game text of General Veers, who has that really good game text of drawing 2. Destiny, if unable to, Battle Destiny, if unable to otherwise, plus he makes the ship or the vehicle immune less than 6. Although in HITCO, when the whole deck basically is 5s and 6s, it can crack the immunity, which then IE can usually counterplay by playing Imperial Justice to prevent that modification to the Destiny. But Veers gets around it, so he's kind of like a perfect storm for IE, and IE wants that justice to protect its guys. So the same way that No Idea does of, hey, I got high forfeit, cheap deploy numpties. If I can just pluck a card and make it so that it's just one Battle Destiny, I just got to lose a dude. And then IE can, of course, retrieve Biker Scouts, or retrieve Troopers. So it can kind of get into a interesting pattern. So Joker King just deploys Veers and Blizzard 2 and then draws. Both players have 11 cards in hand. I'm curious, this matchup can go either way. I'm not a good HITCO player. I always struggle with it, and I definitely struggle with it against IE. So I'm definitely not going to give the expert opinion here. So, but I'm sure Tom's game plan is make sure he doesn't flip. Chris's game plan is make sure he doesn't get caught into a beatdown. He's got Battle Deployment, which makes sure that Lightside can only draw one Battle Destiny at sites related to systems that he occupies. So if you're Tom here, you're probably just, especially in match play, you just want to get damage through. He's on the 7 side, so you can find cards between that and Ray. You guys let me know if there's any issues with the stream, because like I said, I got a new setup here. And actually, let me close this. Maybe that'll help. I closed down most stuff, so I don't have many competing. So Tom will retrieve with Rose. And he's going to drain for 3 here. Yeah, and a Tarkin's Order, that's good. It's grab. So Tom's playing another grabber with Strike Force V, which is a nice card. Something special planned for them, equivalent. And he's going to drain for 2 here because he's got Prophecy here. So that's interesting because if the Tarkin's Order didn't happen, Prophecy would have moved and this would have been drain 1. But because he canceled it. And also interesting is that Battle Plan or Order are not out. And that might be because Chris's shield busted. Because HITCO doesn't want to pull, usually doesn't want to be the one pulling Battle Plan in this matchup because it's probably got weaker space. So that's bad for Joker King. He's going to, especially late game. Here comes Evac Control, V. These cards are hot topics. In Justice V, Imperial Justice Virtual and Evac Control. And I think the worst part about them is they just make games take longer because they prevent either side from drawing 2-3 Battle Destiny. They prevent sides from drawing, even just modifying positively their Destiny. So I've never, No Idea plays it, and I played No Idea a decent amount with that, but I've never really liked playing IE. So he stacks the 3 cards on there. Anakin V, Impressive, Most Impressive, which I'll talk about in a second. And the third card Is that another Jedi Luke? Yeah. So here comes Obi-Wan's out. So now he's slowly getting on two sites. And now Joker King's having really a hard time flipping because in order to flip, if you're a new or returning player watching this stream, Darkseid needs to control 3 and have Lightside control less than 3 Tatooine sites. So the only way that's going to happen now is he's got to kick Obi off, which isn't impossible. He has no immunity, but um, he's also going to draw Destiny, so he needs to be able to make sure his guy sticks around. He's got to put a guy here and go from there. Yeah, I usually plays Cold Feet. I mean, I feel like I never make a deck without Cold Feet V. Um, it's very rare. I feel like when I play a stunning move, a lot of times I find myself needing extra shield pulls. Agents of Black Sun needs extra shield pulls. Um, IE kind of does because you're not starting the Secret Plans combo with the Arrest Order, but usually it wants to be the one, and it's going to need Sense Alter Shields. Pretty much everybody pulls Secret Plans. It's going to want Battle Order. So clearly the odd man out here is so when I played against Tom recently, that was a stunning move. He was throwing room, and I think he had 3, maybe 4 senses in his deck, and he sensed everything I had. And I'm playing stunning move. I got 2 senses on my own, so I didn't. I think I had oppressive enforcement, but I didn't have. Um, there's no try. So interesting that Chris pulled both sense alter shields. I don't think it's crazy, but now he's probably wishing he had battle order to kind of slow down Tom from getting guys out and also forcing damage. My story about impressive, most impressive. I played Dylan today in the Jaws in Love, and I played the Shadow Collective deck that Ryan Serson mostly built with the Shadow or Biker Scout blasters with Biker Scout gear to make them Destiny 6, those blasters. And it's a lot of fun to play that deck. But I was playing against Dylan, he had his Rebel Strike team. I was feeling pretty good, and I was about to get a good counter beat in. But he did impressive, most impressive take the first action. Then he blew away my Avazan combo. And then he had Hear Me Baby V to cancel my hidden weapons. So that battle completely swung. And I was like, well, him having those 2 cards completely changed the game. And we played it out further, but this, I mean, obviously it's Destiny 6. It's really good. If you have Jedi in your deck, it's really good against Carbon Chamber testing because they're going to always, or not always, often play Barrier and Stunning Leader. You Are Beaten's a little more popular now in the meta with Hunt Down V and Lightsabers. But that once per game opponent just initiated can really swing a matchup. So Joker King now is going to attack Obi. He's got Commander Dasani, who's the free shuttle guy, and Elsic, who's the annoying Biker Scout guy who covers all remaining attrition and battle damage if at the same site as another Biker Scout. He's got 5 more force to play with. Doesn't look like we're going to see a flip here. Maybe, but he might be a little vulnerable if he does. The other thing that IE does really well is it stabilizes late game well. Like every time I play against, or not every time, oftentimes I'm like, oh, I'm not doing too bad. And then IE will get in like the 15 life force range, and it stabilizes because it's always got somebody in space and somebody on the ground. It's got a type of retrieval. It just can get through a lot of little drains of 1 usually if things play out well for it. And it's not going to usually get blown out in a battle because it can cap destinies a couple of different ways between justice and battle deployment and the Imperial commands. So we're going to the battle phase here, and we got a battle. So I think I saw Chris Knudsen say this graphic here is going to get updated with the next version of Arena, or Epic Duel, I should say. So, you've heard me talk about it a lot as like new UI or Unity UI or new GEMP. I think what Eric and Matt Carulli, Quick Draw, the multimedia advocate, I think they kind of aligned on Epic Duel as the name of this new system, new UI. I'm sure people will call it new UI for a while, but that's what now the window says, so that's cool. So there was just a new version just in 2 days. So he put out a new version 1.5.8, which is already fixing bugs. And now, as we see a 4 versus 3 surprise assault's interesting. I wonder if he had that in mind. I mean, Tom obviously knows that Joker King plays a lot of court. I wonder if he thought of that against like a court stack of just a bunch of aliens. So that's really good for Joker King. He's immune. Obi's going to go away. Maybe get saved with Jedi's Resilience. Wouldn't surprise me. He has to lose Obi. And looks like no. Yep, there it is. As Yoda hands reveal it. The key thing here, obviously, is that Tom is still flipped on his 7 side, so he can kind of, between Rey and his objective, he can refill his hand as he wants. He's also got the 2 retrieval mechanisms now, like between Rose and 7 side. IE really needs to get Vader out in this matchup, I think, or Mara Jade will keep this flipped as well. Yes, I just shift clicked to get back to the front side. So another thing, as he moves Tempest 1 in front of Luke, I do want to put out a tutorial, and if someone else wants to do it, that'd be great too. But kind of like how to use the new system. I think it's interesting because if you've played on Jump a lot, it'll take you a little while to get used to the new one, but eventually, pretty much everything that's on the old one is on here in some form. Or if it's not, it's not like for example, the login screen is a little different. You don't see the number of games played on it. The tabs at the top, like the format rules, are a little different. So point being, I do want to kind of make one just to maybe help some people if they're kind of like, I don't know where this is, where did this go? I don't like using this because it's not what I'm used to. It will take a little bit of getting used to, but maybe a video, and at some point, actually, jokerking is the one who's helping me with it. I asked for a volunteer to help me update the guide because I generated the first guide for the old gem, and I just don't know exactly how much it's just going to translate of old one versus new one, because it is very different, but it's also a lot the same. So it's going to be interesting just how much can be leveraged. But that's not going to happen overnight if it's generating a nice comprehensive written document that somebody can have handy. But maybe a video in the interim would be helpful, like a half-hour video of, okay, here's where you go for this stuff. So Tom will retrieve that Destiny 6 Jedi's Resilience. He's probably not going to want to retrieve that Luke come his draw phase, because Chris would then have the option to place out of play, and then if he actually kills Luke, Luke won't be able to come back out. That's the most depressing thing about playing HITCO. We're playing against like Throne Room when it used to be like my father. It's like, all right, wow, you finally killed Tank Luke. Okay, here's one of the other 4 that are floating around. And it's like, what did you really accomplish? Yes, actually, that's a good point, Dan. I don't even have the... Yeah, so here's the chat. I think this middle button combines them. Maybe? Uh-oh. Can you guys still hear me? I just heard some random noise in this headset. Let me know if you can't hear me. But yeah, so this merges the chat channels. So I can go back here. Actually, maybe I'll do that as we're talking. If we get to some down periods in this match, because it could be, it could get a little grindy. But yeah, maybe I'll kill two birds with one stone. Stream some GEMPC and maybe just talk to people, talk about how to use this. So out comes EPP Obi back after he just got Resilience last turn. He gets barriered. Interesting play. I kind of feel like there might be something worse he would see. Tom grabs a card with Rey from the bottom of his force pile. Because Obi's not going to slice anybody, and the power differential isn't that bad. Ahsoka's going to subtract from these 2 Destiny that Veers is going to provide. Maybe he's just hoping, okay, you can't battle. Or he's trying to deter Tom from battling because he might actually have to lose somebody between Ahsoka and Luke if Obi is barriered. So maybe that's his reasoning. And here comes Lando. So Lando won't add a battle destiny because of battle deployment, but he is another 6 power. Usually pretty good trample bait in IE. And Tom's going to go through to the move phase. So even though he has evac control out, again, General Veers is really strong. He can get around it because he can draw 2 if unable to otherwise. And Tom's going to draw. He's now at 12 cards in hand. this, so if we just do force counts real quick, it's 34 for Tom as light side and 30 for Chris. Tom definitely has much better board position because he's got some free damage with BB-8. He's got 2 ways of retrieving. He's got a drain of 2 that he's getting through for free, even though he has no space presence because Joker King is shield busted. So one thing that I know a lot of people might be asking about is this is a little blurry. So this is in that thread related to the new system, but I can zoom here. Always zoom on your browser. So I'm on a Mac and this is on Firefox, and you can see the resolution is probably pretty good. But if I were to go, like, the default is like this, and as you guys can see, this is like really blurry. If you guys feel like you're at the optometrist right now, but if I zoom out, it gradually gets more clear. It's not gonna be perfect. I mean, my vision stinks even though I have contact lenses in, but you're not gonna be able to see everything. But that is a very helpful tool in the new system. The thing, I was on the beta testing team, and there's a lot of times where I was like, okay, I don't know if this is just me. I don't know if it's my connection, why this is going a little slow. I don't know if it's just a bug. So that's where it's kind of, some people might be like, oh, I thought this went through beta testing. Why is this wasn't detected? And it's like, a lot of times I don't want to be sending Eric on like a goose hunt of, I have this issue. And people, sometimes you have your car, it makes a noise. You bring it to your mechanic, and they're like, I don't want to hear the noise. So I kind of was taking that approach of, maybe that little stuff I don't want to drive them crazy on because it could be on my end. But hopefully a lot of the big stuff. I know someone like the currency thing was kind of like, that wasn't a tremendous thing, but I think the way the digits were getting cut off. So I think he's, and that's the beauty of this public beta now, is that a lot of stuff's going to get exposed quicker and get addressed quicker, and now the system's going to get refined quicker. But it had to get to a certain point where it was usable and good. So again, back to the action here. So Blizzard 4 pulls Moff Gideon out from the reserve deck, who then pulls Sergeant Barrack, who is a badass. I just got a foil of him on Jump recently, but I don't usually play decks that use him, like ISB and IE. So this is looking like an opportunity for Chris to flip this turn. He could just spread his walkers out. He could probably leave Gideon here, move Blizzard 4 here, maybe run away here. Well, whatever he can do, he can flip. Which, all right, so he plays a trample on Lando. Let's see if he hits. He does have a 4, so that's interesting. I don't know if there was a way, unless I missed it, that he could have been sure of that to track that around. But now Lando's gone. And I wonder if he's going to battle here. Maybe he just knew his destinies were pretty good in general and then went for the trample. It gets grabbed by Tom. And he's down to. This is why I don't like IE. I feel like I never have any cards in my hand. And then I feel like my life force goes down really fast because there's a lot of effects in Admiral's Orders and Justice. Show me how you use that text on your screen. Oh. At the bottom, Dan? You have that on Holotheater. What do you mean, like, the difference? Or the particular font? Or just the effect, the way it kind of like fades from gold to white. So now Joker King's going to do some moving. Another reason I don't like IE, it's a lot of moving. A lot of move phase decisions and actions. This is why I think it takes long to play. You have to be very strategic about it. So he gets the flip, which now means he can drain at the system, which he couldn't do before. Yeah, the font, Dan, is Copperplate, and I think when you just go to edit the font, you can pick 2 different colors, and I just pick. All right, you guys should hear me now. Sorry about that. Hopefully you hear me now. I went back to my desktop. I don't know what happened with this headset. I don't know if the battery's down, but it was charging for a while, so
back on. Okay, all right. Thanks, Chad. All right, so I'll have to figure out that headset. That thing was like $35, and I haven't been too happy with it. MPOW. So we have a drain. Interesting. So that's probably a good call against Tom that he has Monarch in here. He drains for 3 Monarch, Imperial Enforcement, and Masterful Move combo. Also, pretty good choice because I know Tom does like Watch Your Step sometimes a Celebration. Interesting. So I don't know if I just missed that. Did he play the Monarch shield? This new shield up here. Before or after he saw that the Monarch was top decked. But yeah, so Tom's getting more damage through. It's his control phase. He's going to put a card back. Joker King's getting pretty low on life force. His hand is really small, but at least now he's flipped. So he can try to just actually get damage through. And for Tom to move guys around, Tatooine's going to get a little pricey. So Tom peeks at 2 cards. He's only got 1 card in his lost pile. He has. So this is interesting. Where's the out of play option? Oh, we have some chat. So it just went red. What does that mean? Tom said dough. Oh, that's cool. So when there's new stuff, it turns red. Let's go back. He looks to deploy Yoda. Yoda's not in there. Okay. I think that's charging. All right. So as of the look of this now, this could get close. Like I said, IE can kind of stabilize, but if... Oh, here comes another Lando. Unless I missed that he was a... Oh, interesting. Okay, thanks, Chad. So he pulled it turn 1. And then Tom played it. Maybe he must have... I don't remember. I guess... Did he lose it from hand? Here, let me turn off the lock. Yeah, wow, he lost Monarch from hand, even though... Didn't Tom have like 14 cards in hand at that point? Interesting. Alright, so we got a flip. So now he's just moving in front of Joker King's people. He's 4 wide on Tatooine. This is not looking good. Now, Joker King might start to enter in cut and diff mode. Yeah, Tom has a lot of cards on, relatively a lot of cards on table for HITCO, and that he's got 3 stacked over here. He's got a second grabber. He's got, Bionic Hand, which you don't see too often, but another really good card. I'm always terrified to play Destiny 7 cards if I also have Sense, because I just feel like I'm going to draw it at the worst time. Okay. So, I don't know what the plan here is. So maybe he tries to just pick off Lando, but Lando is going to be... If Chris had, like, Blizzard Scout 1 here, that'd be really good to fight against Lando. Cancels game text, he gets into Destiny. But I'm pretty certain Tom probably has a Hujix by now. So you gotta verify with searching for Trampled Blizzard 2. Let's see. What else can we kind of talk about as they're making decisions here? So yeah, here's the out of play stuff. Similar concept as the old UI. Although now I got it done. We got a Grand Admiral Thrawn, which, I mean, because Luke's a tank, so the worst thing that can happen here is like light side draws a 6 in battle. Veers is only 4/5. Veers dies. Blizzard 2 dies. Alright, so we got a battle here. Interesting. Have we not really seen any ATSTs, which is usually more... This is more of a, clunkier big blow version. So we have a battle here against Obi-Wan. So I don't know if you guys are watching. There was another upset tonight in the GEMPC. I am not the only one seed who's been knocked out. Wayne Cullen defeated Matthew HT. Matthew Harrison trainer. He won Texas Mini Worlds. Obviously an excellent player. And Wayne, I guess, was an 8 or 9 seed, and he was an 8 or 9 seed back in the MPC back in April, and he defeated. I think he defeated Chris Kelly. I think maybe Matt Scott took out Joe Olson because there were 2 8 seeds that beat 1 seeds or 9 seeds. As we have a battle here, so he draws the Battle Destiny of Occupation. But yeah, so Wayne will advance. Scott beat me. Was that 2 nights ago? So that's exciting. Get some brackets busted. Alright, so Tom drew a 4. I don't know why he said darn. But he did crack the immunity of Tempest 1. That's interesting, because I might have been tempted to lose Elsic, because at least you can retrieve Elsic, because he's a trooper, if you do manage to flip. Joker King's going to have a hard time flipping here, though, because even if he kills Lando here, he's not going to be able to control 3 Tatooine sites. There we go. Wow, that's crystal clear. I'm also way too close to this monitor. I gotta get a little different setup. So Lando. So that was a smart play by Joker King because, and putting Obi in the lost pile, Lando's text to retrieve and add the destiny of your retrieve card when a opponent initiates battle to his power is only a 1. And in this deck, it can often be a 5 or 6. With Help Me Hold 1 Kenobi. Okay, that makes sense. And that must have been why he was hoping to draw a 6 there, which would have killed the whole thing if he drew a Luke. Because Dasani is only forfeit 5. Okay. I gotta pay attention and stop blabbing about other stuff. So we have a Destiny 4 battle Destiny from Lando. He draws a 6. So that's gonna kill Gideon. Because Barrack wouldn't cover, he's only 5 with a rest order. And so Lando's going to go away. In Life Force, they're pretty equal, but Tom has way more cards in hand, so he can be more reactive. Joker King's going to have an opportunity to draw some cards here, though, so maybe find, maybe a barrier or something to help. But, I mean, he's got a problem here. This is I think it's now a 3-4 swing here, because he's got a drain of 1, still doesn't have to pay for. He's retrieving 1, and he's got a ping. So no matter what's going on over here, this is a 3 Life Force swing every cycle. And now with Joker King on the 0 side, he can't even drain a Tatooine. He's only got these 2, so he's losing ground, in the current state. Obviously, a lot can change, but the onus is on him to change it, especially in match play, where, sometimes in match play you're getting late game and you got numbers in your head. You want to win by 15, or you don't want to lose by a lot, and then you just see if your opponent has got 10, 12 card hand, it's tough because I got to get through all that before I even start chipping away at the Life Force. In theory, you cycle stuff, but it could be daunting if you're kind of don't have many options to force damage or get cards back. See, I know some people, obviously there's a lot of hover with the new, but then it says right on here, right click or shift click for detailed. So this is similar to the old shift click on the old interface where it gives you these details, as opposed to just hovering would just give you the, what's on the card. Or you shift click, yeah. So Joker King draws a few cards. He's now got 14 cards face down, 6 in hand. Blizzard 4 is going to pay maintenance. And he's going to get Yeah, there's a lot of damage here. So 2, 1, 4 total, or 2, 1. I don't see a way that Jokerking can win this game, but he can try to cut diff for the game too. Yeah, because this is the other neat or powerful thing about HITCO, whatever you want to pick, is that between putting the cards down, drawing them with rays involved or 3POs involved, it can really just cycle cards well. Cycle high destinies, cycle things you don't need, and get things you do need. And obviously one of the benefits, it reminds me of Hunt Down, is that it can do a lot of damage without putting a ton of cards on table, which in match play is really nice. IE is tough in match because I feel like IE never wins by like 20. Like you got to catch somebody in a bad beatdown to win by 20 with IE. Usually it's in that 12 to 15 range. Or, yeah, I mean, if you're playing like an open league, sometimes it can be pretty inevitable and you just concede, but if you're the light side player. But for match play, people bring in their good decks and they're ready to just grind it down, and so that IE has a hard time winning by a lot, in my opinion. All right. So he's gonna drain for 2 at the docking bay. We got our rescue. Yoda shows the rescue. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be really tough for Jokerking to get any type of like overflow through. He's already got a lot of his power committed on the ground. Evac control is out. Luke is a tank. Ahsoka, she's good. And yet he's got this setup over here, which is just, it's really hard when IE is built more around vehicles and being outside exterior sites. And this, even though it is an exterior, if you're not familiar, there are no vehicles here. Although there was a good story, I think, at one of our locals. I think Chris Kelly ended up, innocently putting Jabba's sail barge at the Ewok village. And then I think it's like 3 turns later, both players realized it, or one of the players realized it, and they're like, "What the heck? Jabba's sail barge cannot be at the Ewok village." So that happens at real life events. It does not happen in GEMP because GEMP says no, you can't do that. But real life events, sometimes you have 2 of the same character on the table. Sometimes you got Qui-Gon in a Diplo deck. Some funky stuff happens. So we got a battle here with Lando. Obi was buried a second time. Second time Obi got buried. Second time this game at the same location, I'm pretty sure. So he's only get 1 destiny, but let's see. Is he going to track anything around? Even if he tracks around like a 6, he's only going to kill Thrawn here. He draws a 6. Okay, so that's going to be Thrawn. You leave Veers. Chris only has 2 cards in hand. He draws a 5, which becomes a 4 because of Ahsoka. And we have another 5. So what I'm going to do too is I might hop out and see if there's any other games at some point. Maybe not quite yet, but this isn't looking good for Jokerking here. Let's see how his next turn goes. Turn 7. So Lando goes away because there's 8 attrition. Okay, so he drew just enough to kill both the characters, but Obi's going to stick around. It would be really... Actually, because if he didn't barrier Obi, somebody would have been left here. I know, if he did, Obi would have just covered for the 8, but because Ahsoka and Lando are both forfeit 7, he had to lose both, so... but yeah, this is... So you don't... IE, again, I'm not really a... I'm not an IE player at all. I'm not sure how often they run 5 sites and how often they run 4. I feel like 4 is more common. But I remember there was one version, I'm not sure if it was Emil or Joe, where they would run like the Tatooine, the 3-dot desert, and they would break up the sites. So you had the 2nd and the 4th sites were desert, which really prevented a deck like HITCO or Throne Room from being able to kind of move around well because they don't have any vehicles. So I wonder if that in a HITCO heavy environment would be reasonable. Um, I know at one point when Throne Room was really popular last year, I think this might have been like July. Um, Junlin Waste was pretty good because your opponent needs ability 6 to draw Battle Destiny. It's a drain +1. So like you wouldn't have to worry about like Anakin or Rey coming down turn 1 to beat up on your Emperor if you used according to my design as your starting interrupt. Plus you have that drain 2 setup right off the bat. Um, but IE is interesting in the activation models that you really want to be on the docking bays early in the game to get this bonus. And it requires a lot of patience and kind of understanding the importance of getting a lot of activation. I've heard MHT use this term recently, just like the time value of activation is really important. Like early on, those forces are very precious. That's why Walkling's so important to Throne Room. As we see R3PO tossed to the Drain of the Desert. So Chris gets a couple points of damage there. He moves Prophecy, which is important. I mean, I wonder if he's got to be playing a Cold Feet or turn it off. Because that lack of battle order is really hurting him. But yeah, so like just time value of your activation early in the game. And that's where you see a lot of IE players, they just get to the docking bays and just boost that. Because you're playing 5 or sometimes even 6 battlegrounds, which Diplo does as well usually. Maybe not that many generally. Yeah, sometimes 6. And it really means you have to defend a lot of sites. And so you need activation to be able to kind of address different spots that your opponent is kind of picking. So it can be tricky in that all these sites are giving icons and they're usually giving you more 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. So we have battle here with Veers and Blizzard 2 and L6. No, Iroll now against Obi. I don't think we got a 4. I wonder if there's going to be a chance to overflow. But again, I'd be shocked if Tom doesn't have a Hujix. 6, wow. Okay, alright, this might get interesting. Because he actually, no, either. Again, I should take a step back. So he's going to flip here. So that's really good for Joker King. Draws a 4, and Joker King's going to be immune with Blizzard 2. So he loses nobody. So this could get a little interesting. And again, so IE might be able to stabilize here, but Tom has a 12 card hand. He's going to be able to activate 14. If Joker King can dig and find a Cold Feet V, this would really start getting interesting. He's going to peel 3-4. Wow. And we got a flip. And if you're Joker King, you got to be pretty happy right now. Yeah, total battle destiny 10. He's going to resilience Obi back. Yeah, so it's a difference of 11. So he peeled 3. And that's an interesting decision at this point in the game. I could definitely see either way. Because Hujix, your get out of jail free card is so important. And then for 3-4, it just gives you so much more flexibility to play with if you know you have that in hand. But it also wouldn't surprise me. There's no Hujix in the deck if there's no escape pod combo. I feel like you always got to do those 2 cards in pretty much every single one of my light decks. Maybe not QMC. QMC just kind of hope you can race against IE. Pack a free ride combo and hope that you get the ability to get celebration going. Alright, so he now moves in front of Luke, so he's covering up that damage. We're going to have a 3-card swing here with Rose, BB-8, and the Drain. Prophecy will move. Was greater than 5, right? Yeah, so raise 4, Roses 2, so that's going to move back there. Okay, aim high is pulled. Huh. So I wonder if Tom just never pulled that thinking Maybe he just knew that. Are there even any troopers in the lost pile? Maybe one or two. Or maybe he was saving that shield for something. He definitely used the Hear Me Baby for one of them, so. Joking's gonna draw a few. He's got 3 cards in hand now. Excuse me. Passes the turn. Let's see what happens here. Ray's gonna grab a card. Peek for 2. Let's see here. Let me just hop in the lobby on another browser. Just curious what else is going on. So this is going on. There is a couple of Jobs and Love games going on, and there's an OCS game between DJ Jackson and Rambos. Okay, cool. So we got drain of 1 at the village. Prophecy moves. And now if you're Tom, I mean, he could eliminate Veers and Iroll. He's not really gonna be able to eliminate, Smokescreen. I think I had Smokescreen in that deck when I was highly expecting IE or Court. The IE having Justice usually as an option. Smokescreen gets around that the same way that All Wings combo gets through it because you didn't draw Destiny, so you can do a second one. 14 people watching. Nice. Oh, wow. Okay, so the Chasm Walkway comes out. This battle plan is killing him. And it's interesting because has anyone seen a Sense? Because I haven't really. Playing Sense in HITCO used to be a lot more difficult to do because you wouldn't have as easy access to Yoda. Or Yoda wasn't as viable, put it that way. In this meta now that you can always download Yoda, but now you can teleport him somewhere. So you can afford to draw 6 on a Sense Destiny if you have Yoda out. Before, you got 5, Lukes, you got a couple of Jedi Resilience, you might have an Escape Pod, you might have Bionic Hand, all that stuff. So you wouldn't see as many Sense, so this double Sense Ultra Shield might be something that he regrets. Okay, so we got Anakin Skywalker V, which will cancel Veer's text. He's going to stack it on the grabber. And he's going to do an exchange with Luke's Bionic Hand. Let's see. This is probably going to cause... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's brutal. So he's going to exclude... Oh, no. He can't. Oh, never mind. I was thinking of Elsic again. Elsic is over here. Okay. So worst case, probably. He's going to lose both pilots, but the vehicle will stay. He grabs a card off evac. It is impressive, most impressive. Tom says, I'm an idiot. So now when he does that, he can't add 1 with Like My Father. So that becomes a 5. If he didn't do that, yeah, because he's already canceling Veers' text. So that looks like a misplay. Oh, wow, a 6. Luke is immune. Less than 7, though. So he can track that 6 around. Which could be trouble, because then if Jokerking wipes Luke off, he's probably going to come back, but at least it's causing him to dedicate resources. That battle plan is crushing. Lack of battle plan. Lack of battle order So Veers gets his game text back after the battle. Oh, yawning, get close to midnight here, Eastern time, so we'll see how this ends up. He's going to retrieve with the objective. He's got to be over here. So yeah, this is looking good for Tom again. Especially he's got these cards in his hand. You know, a lot of them are going to be cyclable, able to be cycled from like my father, or they're used interrupts. And he's going to pop Wackling. This is rough. You kind of want, if you're Joker King, you really don't want to get towards 20 here. 20 is tough to come back from, because then your opponent can just play differently, going to prevent defense, or like semi-prevent. Yeah, 30, 28, 30, definitely going full prevent. So it's not even that you just have to win a game by a lot, but then you have to win it by a lot with your opponent playing in a conservative manner. I'm up to 80% zoom, so let me go back down to 30. That should increase the clarity here. Alright, so Joker King deciding how much he wants to activate. Or he's going to grab a card. So again, that zone of, you want to be careful not to draw too much, and that be your own worst enemy. Maybe there's something he wants, or he feels pretty good about being able to cycle a lot of stuff. And this is, so he activates everything. I mean, there's a chance Joker King just draws up here. And just says, hey, I'll, take my chance at 17. He's retrieving with Rose. He's retrieving with the objective. Maybe he doesn't have Vader. He doesn't have a cold feet for battle order. He might make a very valid assessment of it's not going to get any better than this. And yeah, he's got to cut through 10 cards in hand before he actually puts a dent into the life force. So it very well could be a draw-up situation here. Because, yeah, I mean, he could have tracked that 6 pretty easily and maybe tried to wipe Luke off. He can't play another Anakin V because he's already got 2 on there on the grabber, so he'd have to spend 3 force to do it. So he doesn't have to worry about that with Veers. I wonder why he activate everything. He's only got 1 in hand. Just going to the battle phase. Going to move phase. Maybe he just either doesn't have or couldn't find a Vader or a Mara or a Cold Feet or a Turn It Off. Anything to get him, or Min would have been, I don't know if he had a Min. Kainu, who can get an extra shield pull. Yeah, he's drawing, so this is definitely a drop situation. So you're going to probably see Tom play some stuff. He already popped his Wackling. Maybe he really doesn't have any more used interrupts. Or, I mean, he's also in no rush. He can wait till Joker King gets to, a little further down in the force pile just to kind of confirm it. Yeah. And that's 3. It's still nothing from Tom. So this looks like it's going to be 17 for game 1 in favor of Tom. Yeah, okay, there goes Strike Force when he has 1 left. So he did have 1. Oh, that's so... Oh, that's cruel. Wow. So that's a nice move for match play. Because Tom's obviously in the driver's seat here. And he can punt the grabber, Strike Force V, and all cards go to your opponent's use pile once they're ungrabbed. So now he's stuck. He's got to play another turn out. If you're Tom, you probably don't even drain here. Because you just want to get Rose retrieval, get objective retrieval. Like, he can get at least 2 more on here. And Joker King has no control over it. There was a move that I remember Johnny Chu did. I think it was at an end of a Grand Prix, where he grabbed a tactical support. I think he had some type of lock deck. I think it might have been his hidden base one. So dark side player played tactical support maybe early in the game or maybe even late in the game, which means you lose a force. But if you play another one, you have to first pay the force for the grabber, so you have to spend 2. So it basically means you couldn't suicide yourself in the matchup. It was pretty like diabolical. Um, so so enabling him to get the lock going, get all the retrieval done, and made it so that Darkseid could never just finish them off. So I think it must have been the hidden base one. I think it was Endor a couple years ago, maybe top 8 matchup. And once you get like a massive win with game 1 with your light deck, the hidden base lock, makes game 2 moot point. But I remember that was an interesting way of using a grabber to work to your advantage in match play. So now Joker King plays command, gets 3 cards back down. Tom is still in his activate phase. He's going to retrieve with Rose. He's going to play a rescue, probably just to try to find a used interrupt. He could put a card back. I don't know if he's done it already with like my father. This could get back to 20 pretty quickly. 17 down. Puts the card back up like my father. So he's at 18 for cards face down. He activated everything. Get drained for 1. Joker King loses a garrison from hand. I wonder if now he's taking the approach of, all right, maybe I should try to chip away, but he's going to be getting 2 back a turn. Plus, the more time that Tom has to play around here, the more time he can kind of cycle into a more used interrupts. Or I shouldn't say cycle into, right? Because that's not going to work. It's not like he's got a 3PO to put 1 down. He's always got to be like, either draw with Ray, it doesn't help you, hurt you. Putting a card back, okay, great, but so every turn that goes along, he can put 1 extra card back that he might not be able to normally. So that obviously favors him to draw this out. Here comes Solo. I wonder if he has a mechanism to play some interrupt that can also get him some cards back. I don't know why it keeps doing that. My zoom keeps coming back up. I think when I zoom on another Firefox window, it affects this one. That's what I was checking the lobby with. Yeah. Let me close that. So he plays a shield with Hear Me Baby. Now he's up to 20. Retrieve a card at the end of his turn, so he's just putting Solo right there just to be like, block your drain. Lando. Joker King stacks then in order to prevent that from happening. So he does have that as an option. As long as he has cards in his hand, he can block that. But now Tom's up to 20 with 6 in hand. And we'll see what Joker King does this turn, if he's gonna try to draw up again. It's only gonna be able to get through 2 damage, which Tom's just gonna toss stuff from hand, so I would think he's gonna just try to. Huh. I mean, is there any way that Tom does this, gets overflowed with solo? I don't think so, because there's just nothing. There's nothing that Joker King can deploy, but he doesn't activate everything, so he might see a way to cut some diff. Yeah, so surprise assault's definitely not going to help in this matchup with all the big blue. Tosses another card from hand. Impressive. He still has 1 card on evac, so that's another consideration, that if he battles, he allows him to get another card back into his hand, which might make its way back into the life force. Still in his control phase. Okay, I'll skip frames. Let's see here. I think the bit rate was a little high. So occupation comes out. So that's a plus. Yeah, I don't think I can change the bit rate while I'm streaming. Maybe that's the problem. It's a little high though. So you can start doing 3 more damage here, and obviously the hope is that I wonder if it might backfire a little bit, or maybe he was just digging for occupation that whole time, and that he wasn't actually intending to draw up all the way. And yeah, maybe he doesn't want to battle. He doesn't want to risk drawing a 6. He gets Barrack out for a little more power. He's going to retrieve 1 of his troopers. Maybe there's a little life left here for Joker King to, at the very least, cut into the diff. He's got 7 cards total. Tom is at 24. Looks like it's, 5 damage to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus retrieval. So that's 2 types. Well, potentially 2 types. Probably not, because you can just place a card. Tom's going to activate all but 2, it looks like. Transfer 2 at the village. Is this something special? I can't shake him. Get verify to check destinies. Peaks, so now he can set up a high destiny. If he can set up a 6, he can clean off Blizzard 4. Well, he can clean off a lot of things. We can only battle now once. But he can clean off both these guys, or he can clean off Veers and Blizzard 2. And those would take away 1 occupation ping. Luke, you probably want to move here, right? It's a little, at least you force Joker King to move as well. Could potentially be. Oh, there's this the force rate -1 if. No, it's a drain too. It's the Mos Espa is the, yeah, force rate -1 unless there's a smuggler, scavenger, smuggler, thief. Okay. Rose will retrieve. BB-8 pings. He loses from reserve deck. He's got 2 cards left. So now Tom's up to 21. There's a rescue. Probably trying to find a used interrupt that he can put back. And probably debating if he can try to pad this a little more, because he's at 22. And now he's in a battle here. Draws the 6. Shocking. And Joker King draws a 4, which is going to kill Solo, but at this point. He'll just ping him for 2, drain for 2, so he will cut 1 card out, but it looks like it's going to be 21. And yeah, this game looks like time. Wow, Joker King's out of 10 minutes. I did not realize the time differential was that strong. It was, was that 18-minute difference? I mean, that's IE for you. That is Imperial Entanglements. Just a lot of decisions, a lot of move phase actions. All right, so late side draw phase. This is gonna have to be a draw up. It's gonna be like a ping ping, drain drain. What is it, 23? Chooses not to stack a card. Interesting. I don't know why he didn't. Like, that saves him a diff. Right? Did I miss something? And then Tom draws? Maybe. And he activates. Okay, obviously he's going to activate because he's going to draw. Sorry, it's late. So, Tom will presumably just toss 4 cards from hand for all this damage. Drain, draw. So it'll be 22. Oh, very nice. Okay. That's why he didn't want to stack a card. Yeah, much better. I should know. I've had a couple experiences with this where you got to account for limited resources I wish I had it in my deck against Scott.